And so let's keep working on this. So we are done with adding is working fine. Let's do an update, but for that you need to actually fetch whatever we have added right now. So I guess I cannot stretch it, the fetch part to the third, at least to the third episode, because we need that fetch happening. So let's do that, I guess. Otherwise there's no way we can actually update these things. So let's do that. I'm going to call it as subscribe, that function. Just calling it subscribe. It's actually not a direct fetch, it's like listening to changes. So it's going to have it's going to listen to each and every item which is coming from the server. So it's subscribing to changes here. So I'm just starting with basic one, which is completion. I'm just going to return a to-do item. So you're going to get an a JSON object which you're going to convert into a to-do item object using decodable, and then send it back to the UI side. So this is what we will implement right now. Subscribe function in the database. It will now ask to implement that one. Protocol implement. That's the last one. So whatever we have added is going to come back through this. Let's do that. So how do we subscribe to these items? Change. For that, Firebase DB is again to our rescue. Collection, to do collection, and then just start calling. We are gonna add a snapshot listener. So that's my listener. Again, similar things. Error. And let's get the whole collection. Snapshot is our collection. Query snapshot is our collection. If we don't get it, just return here. And if you get the collection, we will start checking for the document changes. It can be three types. It can be whenever something gets added, or whenever something gets modified, or whenever something gets removed or deleted. So let's do a query on this document change. I'm just going to call it change, and then let's create that structure. Okay, if the change type is added, then you need to get that added item. I'm just calling that within that change. I can get the document and then call for that data. So again, this code decodable is working here. So I can just call to do item dot self. So this will decode our item and give it to us. So again, it's throws. So we can just keep this within a do block. To catch and try, or maybe we already have the try here, so it should be fine now. So print some error. Maybe call it print something went wrong. Fetch failure. We can call it fetch failure. That's done. Now this block is if type is added, we can get that object. So similarly, we can have 3 blocks like this. Changes updated. What can we call as not updated? Modified. Or if removed, keep it closer. Removed. So 3 cases can happen here. So in each case, we can get what is the item which is added, updated, or deleted. So this is how it works. So we already have defined a completion block. So what we can do is, whenever we receive, let's say, an added item, we can return it back like this. So this subscribe, once we call it, it will start sending these, whatever changes are happening, it will keep sending it through this closure completion. Similarly for update, it's the same thing. So I'm gonna club added and modified together within that same completion block, because we know that I can always go and check whether an item is existing. If not existing, I can just add it. If it is existing, I can just replace it. So this completion will help me do that. But for let's say a remove, I'll need another closure. We'll come to that once we implement the remove part. So at least we have the addition part right here. Addition as well as modification, these two, like add and update, 2 things are here. So let's just see what how add is working. So let's go back and to do view model, we need to subscribe it here. So let's create a function here and create an extension to do view model. Just gonna create a function called setup bindings, or maybe setup subscriptions, or maybe just keep it as setup initial, whatever we need to do as a setup here. And then within that setup, I can just pass the database, and then I can just call database dot subscribe. This is going to give me to do item, each one which is coming from the database. So I can just call that here as well, setup using database. Can be a private extension because it's very specific to this view model. So this is done. So you'll start seeing these values coming from the server right here. Why is this print always like this? Okay, so let's print this and see. To do item, each one. To do item. To do item dot name. Let's print that and see if we can see it coming. Let's run it. Boom. See, whatever we added is coming back. Work, chilling, workout, movie, shopping, sleeping, clubbing. Did we add so much? Work, movie, shopping. I guess this is something which is already synced into my app. I don't know, maybe I'll just remove this app and see. Maybe that also got synced. Not sure, it's not there. Let's again run this. That was very local to the app. Okay, now it's fine. It had synced something in my previous runs when I was testing. Work, movie, shopping, 3 things from the server is now here. Work, movie, shopping, in that order. So it's here. Now it's just a matter of representing it in our UI. So view model is already listening to these things. So on the subscription, let's now do things. So this is where we are receiving everything, the to-do item. So now I can say it's just a matter of if it's already, if this thing items, this is what my, this is okay. Let me show you how is the table view is being bound. So it's using view model.items. One sec, just show you the binding of the table view. Table view is using view models items, which is each item. It's called as view item, to-do item presentable, which is implemented by to-do item view model. It's to-do item view model is what implements. So each and every view model is what is representing each and every table view cell. So that's how the binding has happened. So this is configured using a view model, to-do item presentable. So that's the items array, which is the data source to a table view. So that's what I'm going to use here to send that value. So whatever I am receiving here as a to-do item is going to get converted into a to-do item view model. So for that, let me just create an init within that to-do item view model, which I don't have right now. To-do item view model, go there. I just have an init where it accepts an ID and a value. So instead I also need something which can accept that view model right now, like which is a to-do item, and then it can translate my model to a view model from the model. It's going to accept the model ID and then text value is going to be the name, and finally it's going to self is done based on the model's completed value. So that's pretty much how it's going to work. There is also something called as a create menu, which is like those two menus for removing and two menus, remove and undone, done. These two things are getting added from the view model, which gets bound with your view model. So again, create menu is going to accept the to-do items ID. It just keeps it as an identifier, so that when, let's say, any action happens, menu action, let's say if it is doing a delete or a done, this, it's going to use the ID of that menu item. So menu item is having the same ID of the to-do item, so that I can just have that mapping of what is that we need to delete. So that's pretty simple, I guess. View models items, I get the item view model, and I'm using that to create the menu items contextual actions, and then it has remove and done, two actions, and then on at that action I'm just calling the view models functions to do the processing. So on delete, on done. On delete, on done, watch it. On done is where the update is going to happen. On delete is where the deletion is going to happen. So on done, I'll get the ID of what needs to be made as done, and I'll fetch the specific view model using that ID from the items array, which is a view model right now, and then use that to do that update. So we'll get to that once we have the completion, or right now wherever we are is in the to view model, where we need to have the view model created. So let's create that view model here. View model is equal to do item view model, which can now accept a model, which is nothing but to do item. So our view model is generated now. It will have that element. So I can add it like self dot items dot. I can just say append the new element view model. So this is going to just add whatever. So this is going to work pretty simple right now. After this add is complete, we need to notify the notify the table view to reload itself. So for that we can just do something. I already have a function on the view controller called reload items which will actually reload the table view. So this view function is implemented through this to do view. So this to do view is available in my view model as a weak reference. So I can always do this. So here I can say on did set. I can just call view dot reset, not reload items. So which will in turn call my view. It's simple, isn't it? Let me just validate that once. Did set. It's one thing I can improve here is I just see that in the view controller I'm making that main thread call, which actually can move to the view model itself. View controller need not know the thread handling part, which in turn I can move to, let's say, here itself. So Swift dispatch in the main thread. Pass the view. That's it. I guess this is going to fetch me the items. Boom. All the 3 items are here. So one of the things which is not going to work here, at least add is working, because it's listening to the snapshot, and whenever there is a change, it just adds here. But one of the things you're going to now say is not going to work when I modify. It's going to duplicate things here. If I, let's say, do a done. No, it did not. It just added movie do done. Okay, let's go and check the database. So there is no implementation right now. That's why you did not see. It's just modifying the view models. That's the reason, because I don't have any persistence logic as such here. So you did see that working right now, but it will not persist that thing. If I relaunch it, you're not going to see that. It's going to reset it to whatever is being persisted. See, it did not even update the database. It's just whatever I have done here is you go to the delegate. So on done, I'm just modifying the view models here, not the actual database. So that's the reason. So this is where we are going to right now work on the update part. So add is working. You can see that whatever we have added is being the snapshot we got, whatever changes. So on first load, it's going to send in through the snapshot all the items which are available, which are already added. So work movie shopping, which is available here, we received with its current state. So let's go back and do the done part. So here first thing is I don't need these indexes and all anymore. So I can just get rid of lots of logic, sorting logic and everything is here. I can just get rid of this whole logic. Maybe we'll rewrite the whole thing. And then whatever I need is, first thing, let me just get that object, that specific item which I need to modify. So I can always say guard let to do item is equal to I fetch it from the items array, which is actually bound with my table view. I can say ID, it's always going to have a value, so I'm just blindly force casting it with the to-do item, compare it with the to-do item and get the first item. So if I have something to-do item, then I'll get it. Otherwise I can always say item for ID does not exist. That's it. I have the to-do item. If that does not exist, I can directly return. If that is existing, so this is my to-do item view model. I should not confuse it with my view model. Confuse it with my model with the view model. So this is my to-do item VM view model. So I'll use this to create my model. So I already have the to item view model. Maybe I can just call it view model. Oh, whatever. Let's keep it as to do item view model. And then I can use this to call the update. So for that I need a to do item. So for creating the to do item with the current things like ID, I can use this ID, name, and the completed, the whole information I'm gonna capture. So what's the ID? Let's do a guard here. Let ID equal to do item view model dot ID. Maybe I can just keep it as small VM. Simply ID. Let name equals vm.name. It's going to be the text value. Just going to use that text value, and let the completed status be vm.is done. So that's the current state. Else return. I don't need to do anything. If it's else return, so I have name, ID, and completed. You can pass this ID, name, completed. So on done, the value of view model would be still the old one. So whatever completed, we'll have to toggle it and pass it to the server. So once the server update happens, it's going to get back the new value and reload the table view. So is done, we cannot rely on the current value. It should be the toggle value, or you can even say completed is dot toggle and then say this is also fine. So this is how it's going to be. So database update is done is, I can just say false if it does not have any value. View model is done. Maybe I'll just accept it as is and then modify it here. Okay, it's else here. That's it. Completed. So ID text value is done value, and then use that to so ideally view model should have I'm just relying on view model should have been updated, but I guess it's not going to get updated with my current code. But probably we'll just use this like once on done values received. Let's just check that. I think on did set it should have updated. I don't think that code is still there. it's just setting it, but once the done is completed, I should reset it within the view model. That should actually be happening here itself. So why don't we do that here, like on the delegate. Once I receive the VM, I can just do this dot is done will be the toggle value not done, so that it gets updated and I can directly pass this property VM is let constant. Okay, so this is at least up to date, and then I can just directly use that value to be sent. This is how it's going to work. It's just toggling the value of view model. And I hope this is a class. To do presentable is implemented on a class, so this value is going to change. So that's done. Let's see whether the update is now persisting. So one of the things you're going to see is that it's going to just insert the new value. So you're going to see duplicated things. Let's see that. I just want to show you that and then fix that. So movie. Also, let's have a look at whether that update is happening here. Let's update movie as done. Boom. Movie is updated on the server. Movie true. And you see there is duplication because we are inserting new things. Again, if I update, it's gonna again give me, let's say I can even update from here, completed from true to false. Again, you'll see one more duplicate. See, it's just inserting new values here. So let's fix that. Let me go to my view model, subscribe where we are done. Here we need to do things. So let's see whether this item is already existing or not. For that, let's see whether that index of the, let's pick that index of the item. Subscribe if let index first index $0.id should be equal to do item.id. It's going to be the same, whatever is coming from the server. So index, if it is existing, we'll just do self.items index and then replace the or just create this view model and then replace it like simply like this. We don't need all these. So this is for updation. Simple as if this item is existing, we are just replacing that view model at the existing position, and then you're just creating a view model out of the model. So it is going to have that all the states of the persistence, whatever you have done is going to come back and then just created like this. And then once the items is being set, you already have something where the table view has to reload here. So that will also work. So let's say if this is not existing, then the old case of items needs to be appended at that point. So let's add that to do item view model append part here. It's the same thing, just that we need to append. So this is going to fix our issue right now. Let's see, it's because in the last state we had modified it to completed, again not completed. Let's do this movie. It's not duplicating right now because it's just replacing turn state. So one other thing which will be good if I can just move the done part to the bottom. So I can just apply a sort after this is being done. So I can just say self.items dot sort by $0 dot is done firstly it should show all the not completed items, and then $1 dot is done the completed items. It's gonna always have a value. I'm not seeing it without a value, so I'm just again force casting here, even here. Because we are setting a default value, so I'm just gonna do a sort right away. So this should actually, I think, show as the completed item is the bottom. One line of code. It's now, see, it's at the bottom. Done, boom, moves at the bottom. Work moves to the top. Shopping, done. So it's working. Edit, update, fetch, add is fine. Now we are left with remove. Boom. Remove does not have any code right now. Just crashed on me. Attempt to delete row 2 from section which only contains 2 rows before the update. Okay, let's get rid of the whole delete logic. Maybe that's now messed up. On delete index. Okay, so let's get rid of this. I think delete is going to be pretty simple because we just need to call, just use that, apply that same thing, like apply get that item and then just pass it. So already we have the ID. I don't think we need to do much here. We just need to delete it based on the ID. So we already have the ID here. So all that we need to do is database dot delete, pass the to do ID. That's enough, I guess. This is gonna do whatever we need to. One simple line of code. It's going to delete from the server, and then one more thing we need to do. It's going to delete, but it's not going to delete from my persistent side. So let's just see, not in the persistent side, on my view model side, because that I have not written any code where the delete can work, but at least I can show you the delete happening on the server side. The remove, boom, it's gone from server, but it's still there on my local, because it's that code to remove the view model is still not there. So if I rerun this, it's gonna show me 2 items, because it's again going to fetch that snapshot. Yeah, so let's write the last bit of it, where I need to introduce something for delete. I have a subscribe completion. I can just add one more here, similar thing. Excuse me. For deletion, I can just call it deletion, and it's gonna give me error 2 places. Let's go to the first place and implement the deletion completion here. This is fine, it should be deletion, and whatever I need to do here is on delete, what should happen? Just send item on delete. Now one more error here. I need to introduce brackets and then have the ask me for fix. This is going to be to do item, and here it's asking for the completion. I guess that's the last thing we need to do. Whatever we receive here, I don't think I need this. Self.items dot remove all based on a condition. So $0 dot id equals $0, or I can just say to do item in to do item dot id. This should be fine. Last bit deleted. Okay, let's call it deleted to be sure of what we are doing here. It's going to be the deleted item which we are just checking. If it is existing in my view models array, I just remove everything from that. That's what is happening here. That's the last thing. I think with this we are going to see things happening, the whole end-to-end things happening. Work, go there, let's do something like workout, add. It should be there. Yeah, it should be there in my client side and server as well. Modify this, completed, update, workout goes to the bottom. Movie, then I can remove something from here. Now we should start seeing it's removed both ends. Nice. I guess finishing touch, we're pretty good at it. Like, we're almost done with this tutorial. Let me also show you how it's going to work without an internet connection. Maybe I'll just turn off my internet and say offline. It should add into my local. You don't see that getting reflected on the server. So this is local one. It should also be persisted right now. So if I relaunch the app, you should see it persisted on the local side. See, offline, it's still there, but it's not there on server. I enable my internet. You should see it like in 3-5 seconds reflected on the server. Offline. Yeah, cool, isn't it? Not much code, but it works. We don't need even a server, so it's all being done by the cloud Firestore. So that's how it is. That's how it works. Hope you like this episode. I hope you're not confused with it. It's pretty simple. I have explained it step by step. So even if you need code access, you need to go to my Patreon site and then subscribe to my Firebase tier, where I'll be including more content in the future, because this does not talk about authentication, authorization, how users' identity is being captured. This is a very plain, simple application, but I'm going to extend this series with some complicated use cases so that it becomes relevant with complex things. So subscribe, like this video, share if you like, and come back for more tutorials in the future, which will be on Firebase and some other tutorials on different other topics. So until the next one, it's bye from me.